We know that a population are all of the members of interest to us for our purposes, and a sample really are just examples from that population. So just members from the population that we've selected. We can really only say things about the population with our sample if our sample happens to be representative, which is to say that the characteristics of our sample should behave like a sort of mirror of the general broad characteristics of the population. Part of this is going to come down to sample size. No matter how good my sample is, if I take a sample size of 2, it's going to be really hard for those 2 examples to be reflective of an entire varied population. And some of it comes down to how I select my sample in general. Now, we can all imagine people that have ulterior motives, that they want to create bias. They don't want a representative sample. We think of this as like cherry picking, but we can accidentally fall into a situation where our sample isn't truly random, where it is not unbiased. Let's suppose that you were going to be manufacturing a new line of stuffed animals for children age 2 to 7. You wanted to get a sense of like, hey, I'm going to produce 5 animals. Which 5 should I choose? Should I do whales? Should I do camels or cobras or grizzly bears or chipmunks? So you decide, I'm going to survey parents of children ages 2 to 7 and ask them what they believe these kids' favorite animals would be. But you only sample parents who live in Florida and Idaho. And this is going to be presumably a national product. You want to sell these stuffed animals all over the United States. Well, you may have subjected your survey results inadvertently, accidentally, to certain kinds of biases. For instance, maybe there's kind of a home region bias among kids. Maybe kids from Florida really like alligators, and kids from Idaho really like grizzly bears. Or maybe there is a reverse of this. Maybe there is an exotic animal bias, and kids in Idaho have this disproportionate fascination with alligators, while kids from Florida have this disproportionate fascination with grizzly bears. Either way, you have opened up your survey results to a certain kind of bias. Let's be realistic here. Just because your survey is biased does not mean that your product is doomed. And even if you had managed to take a perfectly unbiased sample, it doesn't mean that there's a guarantee of commercial success for your product. So that's really not what this is all about. But to the extent that you wanted your survey to point the way to the preferences of your population, this was probably a misguided approach, only taking surveys that included families from 2 different geographic regions.